Hi everyone, my name is Azrika and I want to welcome you back to my channel because it's been about a minute and a half since I did this last, but honestly I just had some things going on and I wanted to step away and take some time to work on me, work on my spiritual journey and just be healthy and be happy. But I'm back and I'm actually so excited. I'm really excited. And one of the things that I learned while just being away, not just away from the YouTube channel, I stepped away from my church community for a while, not my faith, but just the community, because it just became really intense for me. But I started going back or started getting plugged back in to that community in the same way that I want to get plugged back into this community, because I've realized that church is often not a safe place to make mistakes. It's not a safe place to have questions, to have doubts, to voice those questions and doubts, and ultimately to grow closer to Christ through that voicing and dialogue and searching. Instead, church becomes this place where people pretend like they have everything together. Like they never make mistakes, they never have questions, and they just, I don't know, like everyone is just pretending that everything is cool. And I hate it. I hate it so much because we are all sinners. We all make mistakes, and I hate the idea that sometimes people just don't feel safe to come back to a community after they have made mistakes, or feel safe to be open with people in the community about their mistakes. Instead, they run further. But it's like the anti-prodigal concept, where the prodigal, he ran, made his mistakes, but at the end of the day, he came back because he knew that was the safest place to be, was in the arms of his father. And so I want to be a person that people feel safe to make mistakes around, because I won't judge them or condemn them, but I'll walk with them back to Christ. And I want any community I'm involved in, whether it's my church community or this community here, for that same mindset and culture, that you feel safe to ask the most reckless questions, to voice your doubts for the sake of getting better, not for the sake of being pejorative or just being irritating, but really because you have those questions and you want to know. And in fact, it's one of the things I love the most about God is his ability to take our seeming mistakes, the things that seem to be the worst, and turn them into something so beautiful. And then on top of that, I don't know if you've realized this, but in the Bible, God chooses the most screwed up people to share the most beautiful parts of his gospel. I don't know if you're in a place in your life where you feel like you've made so many mistakes and that means it counts you out from being a follower of Christ or a messenger of Christ, but I want to tell you that it's quite the opposite. Let's look at David. And let me tell you how David is a little bit sketchy, right? David, one day, instead of going to battle, was on his rooftop, saw shorty little Bathsheba taking a bath, slept with her, got her pregnant, and instead of actually just being honest about that, because he was the king, I mean, that doesn't excuse his stupidity, he ended up sending Bathsheba's husband Uriah to the front line so that he gets murdered. So he slept with a girl, got her pregnant, murdered her husband, and this is the person that God still calls a friend. This is the friend of God, a man after his own heart. Or what about Moses, the person who was chosen to lead the children of Israel to the promised land? Dude was a straight murderer, and that did not discredit him. Or Peter, who literally denied Christ. But think about it in 2019. Peter denied Christ and it went viral. So everyone was sharing that video, everyone was commenting, and Jesus still wasn't distraught. Jesus still didn't count Peter out. In fact, Jesus referred to Peter as the one who his church is built on. So I don't know where you are in life, but if you are in a place where you've made some mistakes, so you slept with the girl, so you cheated, you lied, you were a leader while you were doing it, you're addicted to pornography, you're addicted to drugs, you're addicted to something, but in your heart you want to get better, just know that is enough for God to work with. The prodigal son came back and instantly his father gave him a robe. Let me tell you how Jesus died just so that you can be redeemed. It's because Jesus knew we were screwed up from the start that he had to die for our sins. He didn't die for the perfect person, no such thing. He died for us. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And then he's cast our sins to the depths of the ocean, so there is nothing about you No sin you've committed, no temptation, no addiction that's too great to be redeemed by God. In fact, he takes pleasure in using those who've fallen so far. Look at Saul, who got changed into Paul, who ended up being one of the most prolific writers in the Bible. He was also a murderer. He was murdering Christians. I feel like he thought he was doing the right thing, but he really wasn't. He was still killing God's people, and God didn't discredit him. He flipped him around. You guys just changed him around a little bit and made him a leader for Christ. So I want this channel to be a place where we feel safe to be flawed, because we are. We are. But the cool thing about many of our stories is that it's the very sin and temptation that seems to weigh us down that ends up being our preaching point. It ends up being the thing that we turn around and prove to the world that God is faithful because God rescued me from this sin. Just like the fall of humanity, Christ became closer to us after the fall than before the fall because he became one of us, lived a perfect life, died for us, bought us back. Not to praise sin in any way, but just to say that sin doesn't trump God. Where sin abounds, grace much more abounds. So whatever it is you're holding on to, that guilt, that shame, that fear, because you've made a mistake, newsflash, we all are mistake makers, except for Jesus. And that's why he came and paid the ultimate price. So every time we make a mistake, we can run back to him and he will not cast us out. He'll just love us back to him. So that's my hope for this channel, that infused in every one of these videos, you feel that sense of safety to ask questions, to be a sinner, but really to pursue after God's love, to pursue God's grace, and not just for yourself, but foster that culture for those around you. So I am so excited to be back, and I'm so excited to share some of the other things I learned in this last year and these last 2 years about just my faith and the realness, real faith, not just I grew up being a believer, so I'm gonna stay a believer, but just the wrestling I've had to do personally. I'm so excited that you guys are here. I really want you guys to subscribe, like, and share if you like the video, and know that there will be more content to come, and I hope that we can have authentic dialogue, and I hope we can be friends. Let's be a community. Let's do this life together. I'm so excited to be back. I love you guys, and I will see you soon.